I'll talk through a bit about how I believe that design and development teams needs to be structured in order to create great things, and how we do it at Nordea Markets. And luckily, those two things are quite closely linked, so it's not all bad. Just quick introduction. We put ourselves in service today. I'm 37. Took a bit of education, which I realize is rare in my line of work these days. I've worked in a bunch of amazing companies. Never been a sort of clear trajectory. When looking at it, there's been some patterns around news and publishing with issues, Zetland, Denmark, Egmont, these kind of things. But basically, my route has always been interesting problems, interesting people. There's also something around, markets under pressure, both with news and banking. But that's apparently where the challenges are. Lately, I've been working in finance. Fintech is probably a bit of a stretch, but both Danske Bank and Nordea has proven some massive challenges to take on. And I'd like to go through a bit how we're doing it. So I'll touch upon how we're organized. Luckily, a couple of people has already sold in, how important vision is to drive these things. And the last part is just quickly, how we make sure what we build actually matters. Let's see how it goes. Anyway, just quickly, just sort of naming confusion. Nordea Markets, our division, E-Markets is our product of the platform. So what it basically is moving, it's enabling businesses to move currency from one account to the other, foreign currencies. Like it from TransferWise or Revolut, or just going to Forex to sort of give them a bunch of Danske kroner, you get dollars back and they keep a little bit of it. It's a pretty sort of straightforward business model. What we did was, or Nordea did, was inventing 100 different ways of doing this. So one thing is like, you need dollars, I only have kroner, so I send you the money, it shows others dollars in your account. But we could also do it, you get the money in a week and we'll see what the dollar rate is. Or you can get it in a month, but right now we'll agree what the dollar rate is, so I don't get any surprises, but you might. Or you can get it in a year, and but maybe I'll extend it, maybe I'll change my mind. So all these kind of things that help businesses work with their money. And why they need to do this is that we're looking at complex businesses and more like traditional companies. It's not tech companies as such. It's mostly sort of old school companies like retail corporations, right? They send orders to Bangladesh and need a bunch of T-shirts back, and they use one currency there. They send these T-shirts all over the world. They get bought in all these hundreds of retail stores, get back in local currencies. They need to figure out what to do with this money while they're changing around. And to the size of companies using the platform, the amount of money they can save by working strategically with this is massive, right? Around 1,200 trades are done daily on the platform. It's totaling around 300 billion euro running through the platform yearly. And still, I still check that number every day because it seems so insane. But that's the point. It's the amount of money they have to operate with makes a clear difference to the bottom line that they do this smart. And so also there's an important point around designing products for these kind of people, because compared to everything I've previously done when making an interface, when the user makes a mistake, if the file upload fails or they send out an accident email, they publish the wrong article or something, it's super annoying, right? But if my user sends 10 million euros the wrong direction, right, it's devastating. One thing is it will look like an idiot, but might get fired, right? It's the company's money that's on the table. And we're also at the same time we're trying to move a workflow that has traditionally been analog, where you call an advisor, you get it all done. Now it needs to happen on a platform, right? So that degree of trust is super interesting to work with. Our users, they're interesting. They all hold some degree in economics. Usually it's a master's in economics or something, CFOs in different companies. But digitally, it feels like they're living in last decade, basically. one thing is, again, it's sort of it takes a while for a company to grow to a size where you need a tool like eMarkets, right? So it's not companies that are only a couple of years old. But the other thing is there seems to be a pattern where they're stuck with shitty systems, if you ask me. They're sort of okay with whatever they're handed, which means the desire to explore products and discover new features of these things is a whole different game than what I've tried before.
Sorry?
Yes?
I'm 44.
Yes?
So that's rather old, I guess.
I don't think so.
I can hear and follow roughly 2/3 of what you say, because you speak quite fast and fast. So could you, for the old guy down here, please?
I will.
Hold it up and
Thanks.
Sorry.
No. Thanks a lot. Yes. So this is our platform. And how we build it. So I've heard now a couple of times from Rory that startups are organized one way, enterprises are organized another way. Maybe I've landed in a lucky spot at Nordea, but it feels like like how I've always been working. We have three sort of autonomous core teams, each tackling sort of different parts of the business, right? There's one team that's actually building the trading services, trading products, the advisory services. Again, it's about Nordea is a strategic partner to these companies, right? We need to help them do the right thing. So we have product owners, we have UX design, we have front end, back end. We also have domain experts. That's the business people, right? It's traders, it's old advisors, it's savvy economic people who can fill in the gaps that I would never be able to uncover through user testing or anything like that. We have a team that services and insights that's focused more on all the stuff that makes it into a platform, logging in and notifications, messaging services, all these sort of hygiene things that has the same construction. Then we have one thing, the foundations team, which I haven't tried before, which is quite a luxury. Sounds a little bit like what I heard with Zendesk, but there's a whole team only focused on maintaining our design library and making the components reusable and testing them in all the weird browsers and everything. So that's like their only focus, right? And it helps making all the elements that we test and prototype with super stable. And that's a luxury I haven't tried before, at least. One thing that is separate that I'm not used to is the whole release part of it. We call it DevOps, which might be the wrong term. Sorry about that. But because it's a bank, we're not able to actually push the button to production ourselves. We have to hand it to another person, sort of segregation of duty they call it. Because what we're basically doing is we're pricing currencies, right, for millions of people. So we can't do that ourselves. Then there's the thing about working in a huge bank. A lot of people there, which means there's a lot of dependencies on other parts of the bank, but luckily also a lot of help. Things like, for example, as Rory mentioned, our marketing team is totally detached. I don't even know where they are or anything, which is super sad. But on the other hand, the thing I have an entire in-house agency, Behavioral Insights, which are anthropologists, researchers, interviewers, product owners, people that I wouldn't be able to employ in my own team, but that can carry on surveys, massive surveys, across the whole of corporate customer journey, not only the part we're interested in. And that is super useful. So we're able to have these larger research patterns or projects running, meanwhile we sort of focus just on our product. So the cool thing is everything we do from idea to business requirements and how the solution's formed, how we implement it and everything. And concept testing is done within these teams, and we're 40 people or something doing this. So that's nice. We're sitting on the trading floor, which is a pretty cool experience, like 300 traders with like these cockpit environments, shouting euro prices. So not as cool as the movies, but I'm impressed. I think if I had to move into corporate world, go all in, right? So that's what I did. Yeah. And then a thing about, how do we make these teams doing the right thing? This is my son trying VR for the first time, roller coaster ride on the Google Cardboard. I always love this for, everything we do when building products ends up at in front of a human being, right? It has to spark some reaction, whether it's sort of excitement, enlightenment, empowerment, whatever, right? But if it doesn't mean anything to anyone, then then the feature will never take off, or the experience will never take off. And that starts with the team, just as Roy said, that I think you coined it nicely with there's a difference between imposed vision and shared vision, right? Because you have to get the team involved early on to have any chance of success. This thing about also if I'm not able to convince my team where we're supposed to go, right, then I have to question myself, are we even going the right way? I'm way past that point where I think I'm so brilliant and everyone else is idiots. They just don't get it. I think this is really the first sort of litmus test if you're doing anything right. So sort of the quick pit stop, right? I think the autonomous teams or the core teams, that's the foundation for getting anywhere fast. And getting everyone to believe in where we're going is sort of the foundation for keeping these autonomous teams motivated. So, I'm golden, right? I've sort of motivated autonomous teams. Everything's ready. Then I just need to make some things that the users love, and I'm in heaven. And that's where I met that's where I met my domain. This is basically the reaction we meet everywhere, right? Trading currency is the equivalent of going to the dentist. Just one over with. The thing is, basically nobody wants to bother with this. All our users have their core sort of workings in other systems. So there was someone from Visma here. They're using ERPs most of the day, or they're using sort of strategic planning tools or SAP things. And this thing about exchanging currency, that's just a step on the way. It's a minor thing of all the exciting things they get to do sort of during the day. And just a note, trading currencies has nothing to do with trading stocks. Trading stocks has this excitement of winning and beating the market and doing something great, getting a great value. Well, this is trading currency is about insurance, basically, right? It's about making sure that sort of you can make a price list and you're with. So you do it for a year, you're done, you're out, right? And a sort of example is Danish defense, for example, right? They're buying these fighter planes. That's just what we need. But they're buying the F-16s anyway. Over the next 5 years, they have to pay 13 billion or something like this. They won't pay it up front. They don't even have the money. If they wait 5 years, then it might be 13.5 billion, and they don't have that money either. They have to ask again, right? So what they need to do is make the plans, or for the next 5 years, when are the payments, and then just put it into the system, and they go about their business, because their real problem will be getting these fighter planes on time. There's like huge sort of amount of work in front of them, and this is just like a practicality, right, to get it out of the way. Which leaves us with some interesting obstacles, right? How do we design sort of an engaging, immersive experience for people who basically just want it over with? And there's an important point here, because I know we also have people from Cleo and Zendesk, everything, where it's basically sort of solving or to go back, what was it? The great Alexander, I can't pronounce his last name, I guess it's poor, early Zendesk founder. Oh, anyway, he said, take something seemingly boring and underserved and disrupt that, and that's what he did, right? But the thing is that none of my users chose this product. They were all handed it. They chose Nordea for different reasons, because of the relationship, because of some price or something, and then this is just what they have to deal with. So there's no even though there might be someone in Trustpilot who's not a super fan of Zendesk, they still have these internal ambassadors helping making it go, and there's this link that I'm missing, right? So there's something interesting about this, especially if you compare it with tools like if you do your taxes or have to get a new driver's license or something. Try mentioning like the 99% of features that were also there. The thing is, you get an email that says look for pay taxes button, and you go in there, you click that button, you get out as fast as you can, and then sort of it's over with, right? And then you wait until the next time you get that email. So that's the one thing, right? None of them ask for this. The other one is Nordea is merged from I don't know 30 banks throughout Europe, and through decades basically they've been sold the products through sort of ever-changing analog sales funnels. There hasn't been one website that matches you with this company have this problem. We probably have the solution for it, so have at least that sort of that common understanding. Not two users have been told the same story, which then leads to when we do the concept testing and validation, it's just incredibly hard to find common patterns, which makes it expensive and takes a long time to get to that point where you feel like we're really onto something, right? Need at least to sort of hear from a number of customers in a row that I really need this until you're ready to invest in it. I think that's the core thing, right? That every user is different because it's such a long sort of lifetime cycle, whatever you say. So we from that was quick. So the sort of the three initiatives to meet these challenges head on, just to sort of tie that bit up. One challenge that we met was, again, this Nordea is just like a bunch of different banks that decided to be together, and then they put the same logo on top of the building. But there isn't one source of data. We can't pull sort of usage from all our corporate customers doing one thing, because they're all sort of stored in weird data warehouses everywhere across Europe. So we had to build simply a sort of analytics platform ourselves, which has been going on for the last half year at least, finally done. Another thing is about getting sort of validation on the features, right? Last year we did 100 one-hour sort of sessions, which was either interviews or co-creation sessions or sort of usability sessions with users. It's way more than the managers talk to their clients, which is always a fun fact. But what we just sort of it's a new mental state for me, that everyone that's been at a user test knows this feeling. You come home, you have two people that says the same thing, sounds really cool, think we're really onto something here. But we need to sort of stop at looking at one project worth of user testing and look at what has happened throughout the year, these 100 interviews, right? Because these two guys, they actually represent 2% of what we know. So we need to sort of make our qualitative data quantitative, which is basically aggregating our learnings into the same sort of the same product, the same platform. The last bit of this is this part when you ask users for what they want, and it's not to use a weird thought quote, but it's very, very hard to get to a level where the users actually sort of engage with us or the product to actually feed us the info that we need to drive further. Which is why that installing business experts directly in the Scrum team, is just a major factor for us, because taking on this partner role, which the customers are always also asking for, is basically telling them what they need to know instead of sort of feeling our way forward. So there's some parts of it where we simply have to take a different approach than what I've traditionally leaned on, where it's like always been all open. Let's figure out, we don't know anything. Let's go ahead. Where the only way we can figure out anything is by assuming sort of half of it at least, and that's where we need these training experts to help us shape the products and the products. Wow, it's doubled. All right, so my sort of recipe, my three ingredients. As has been said a couple of times, the team structure, I don't think there's any other way than, all the right people in the same room. It's not necessary to avoid sort of weird politics or weird mood. I just don't see how you're able to build sort of a product in sort of the right time that actually creates value. And get the vision, the shared vision, as early as possible, I think this, what you might end up with if you don't get this is basically tiny waterfalls that you might call agile, right? But it's still just, a couple of developers waiting for one guy in the team telling the developers what to do, right? So sort of calling anything else but waterfall is a bit of a lie. So that's one part. The other thing is that there's only a fraction of the end user experience that will actually be dictated by my choices. There's so much that relies on the performance, on sort of device user sitting on the whatever load time, data stability, all these interesting things. And I need to make sure that everyone sort of throughout the team can make the right decisions at the right times, as Tim also mentioned. And the last thing, which was also referring a bit to my question about metrics on every story. I need to get the team started as early as possible, but at the same time I need them to get started on the right thing. I've been too many times in the situation where when we're building an MVP, right? I know there's a talk about that later, looking forward to that. Building an MVP, right? The shape of it isn't really what you as designer had imagined. It seems to be missing the most important parts. Okay, we'll go with it, iterative, fail fast, all that. It gets out there. It doesn't move any numbers, right? So okay, so what the fuck? No, but seriously, business they don't want to invest anymore in it because it didn't work the first time. So what will actually make it work? Developers, they just wasted a month of time, right? Because you didn't get it right from the get-go. My experience has been that the time invested in it. Okay, so let's do that final thing, right? That gives even less less interest. And that's just a sort of eternal circle, which leads back to the fact that it is so critically important to understand the problem before starting anything. Also, just to not waste your time going to work, basically. Yeah, that was my words on team structure.
So, thank you very much.